Hey, empowered badass breeders. Two important things when doing curriculum with your puppies that I wanted to share with you. The first is you start the activity, you end the activity. You make that very, very clear because we want puppies that will work with and for us. We want it to be centered around this relationship of doing something together, accomplishing something together. So when we set up our curriculum, we're very clear about we start it, we work together, we end it. So it's not something that's just set up 24/7 that they get to play in. I will caution, if you do that, you're never teaching your puppies to self-soothe without a lot of stimulation, and that can be difficult when they go home. I know it looks great. I know it's good to provide a lot of activity for puppies, mental and physical stimulation, but it's also important to make sure they do have a quieter environment where they do have to learn to take a nap, to settle, to self-soothe, to have some self-control. We have in their toddler stalls, we have things to chew on, quiet things for them to work on. We don't leave a curriculum enrichment environment set up for them. We start it, we end it. So that's number one. We want everything done with meaning and purpose. The way in which we do things and how we do it is really impactful on their brain development. Second is we end it with something positive, whether we bring them back to their mom, especially early on with the whelping box exposure. We bring mom in even many times before we pick up the items, so we end it really, really positive. See, there's nothing to fear, especially right away when they all kind of go to the edges of the whelping box and like, I'm not so sure about something new in my whelping box. I don't like change. It can be very normal. All it takes is bring mom in and they're running around chasing the boobs like no one's business, and they have no care or concern about the cones, the buckets, the towels, the stuffed animals. It's really incredible to see, quite frankly. As they get older, we reward them with us. That's when we do the 10-step handling puppy massage. With them, we spend that quiet time holding them close to our heart and our face, and I wait for that deep sigh. They will do it. They'll do a you feel it, and after that is when you really can feel like you become one. It's truly powerful. So make sure you're doing those two things after curriculum. It makes a difference. It's impactful, and it will help change and guide your puppies through curriculum. So when they go home, they're eager learners. They're looking to and for their humans. Naturally, what's next? What can we do? They want to work with and for a human, and then they enjoy, and it becomes part of. After we've met their needs in order, rules, boundaries, limitations. Okay, here's your schoolwork. Here's how we're going to do it. 2, mental and physical stimulation. They got both during schoolwork, right? And then their third innate need is love and affection. So we do those in order with their structured curriculum exercises, and we end with that love and affection. So once their needs are met in order, we're creating happy, fulfilled, balanced dogs. So it's not willy-nilly. It's not just putting them into play. Do things in order with meaning and purpose that aligns to the true development of our canines. This is where the true power of a dog is truly captured. It's incredible. Really, we need to celebrate that we have this ability to tap into that, to set them up for success, and then share them with their forever human. Do you give your puppies vaccines or not? And I'm not here to say what's right or wrong, or that you should stop or start giving your own vaccines. I just wanted to tell you some considerations, and then of course share your experiences below. Why would you give them? Because it saves us a lot of money. We could just pick them up at like a Tractor Supply or feed store and administer vaccines at our leisure without exposing puppies to the vet, and all of that is important for sure. here's why you wouldn't want to do it. A lot of vets won't count the breeder doing the vaccine, and the reason why is because it has to be carefully kept at a temperature without any kind of vast or even minor change of temperature. So vets are saying, I can't control that the employee at Tractor Supply, I'm using Tractor Supply as an example, put the vaccines in the fridge in a timely manner. I can't control if the fridge maintained that temperature all the time. I can't control when the breeder bought the vaccines, they didn't do some other errands and the vaccines went to room temperature and then they administered it. I can't control how they administered it or if they even really did. So unfortunately, many vets, when your clients take them to the vet, if you did the vaccine, they'll say that we do not count that, and they do revaccinate. So it's kind of a double whammy. Like, we paid for it, we did it, it looks good, we should be doing them. And then it didn't even count to begin with. And not to mention, now the puppy just got vaccinated twice, generally in a short period of time. So I just, oh, and the other thing is too, if it's documented through a vet, if it's the same vaccine brand that was given 3 times per their regulations, minimum the 3 times, and if the dog got parvo, the vet can reach out to them, and that distributor, manufacturer of the vaccines, will pay for the care of the hospital stay if the puppy had parvo. So a lot of people don't know about that either. So as long as it's the same company, manufacturer of that vaccine, and there's documented evidence that a licensed veterinarian gave that vaccine on the right times, you know, within the 2 or 3 weeks, minimum 3, they'll pay for the bill. That has happened for a client of mine, and we were able to have the documented evidence that puppy was vaccinated correctly, and they paid the bill. So that's another reassurance. I don't tell people that. Like, I don't want to give also a lot of, I don't want people to be scared of vaccines or parvo. Of course, I educate, and I even have a whole chapter in my new Raising the Empowered Puppy book on parvo for clients. But for breeders, do we vaccinate ourselves? Do we not vaccinate? There's just my take, just 2 things to consider. I'm not saying either is right or wrong, just considerations. I think the more knowledge we have, the more empowering it is, and the better we will be. So if you have any other experience or your take, go ahead and drop those below and share. I know, and this video is not about, but like, what ages do you vaccinate? I personally, because puppies are immune still through mama's milk, if you ran a titer on the mom, you can see the antibodies for parvo. That's passed down to the puppies, and they're really getting immunity to the mom until around 7-8 weeks. So we vaccinate our puppies at like 7.5, 8 weeks old, right before they go home. And then they get the next 2 according to the manufacturer guidelines, and or the area in which the puppy is. That can also be a little bit different depending on incidence of parvo in the area. So there's lots to consider. I'm not going into all of that, but do you vaccinate yourself, or do you have a vet do it? There's my experience. What do you do if you get a puppy returned? So here are a few considerations, things to think about. First of all, as far as refunding money, ultimately you have to do what you feel is best. I'm pretty open to refunding money if it's within the first 16 weeks, because that's the critical developmental time period for a puppy. So if there has been a puppy in a kennel a lot, or mismanaged, I'm not saying abused by any means, but just their needs not met, fear wasn't handled correctly, that could be some long-term remediation type training, you know, some rehabbing essentially. So first and foremost, if it's under 16 weeks, we'll talk about partial refund or full refund, and it depends why, of course. But unfortunately, it's just the reality that puppies get returned for all different reasons. The family wasn't ready, allergy issues, and of course, so many things that they may not actually disclose is the reason why, but it has nothing to do with the puppy, and it does put us in a little bit of a predicament, because when you try to resell them, people are like, well, what's wrong with the puppy? And yet, and it's hard to be like, there's nothing wrong with the puppy. It was just unfortunate circumstances. So when a puppy comes back to me under 16 weeks, even over 16 weeks, I get them cleared by the vet again. I want documented paperwork. This puppy's been seen by the vet again, cleared by the vet again. They do have to go into 3 days of isolation because I don't know where they've been now. So whether you do that at home or whether you do it at the vet, I can't have the puppy bringing something back to other unvaccinated puppies. So that's the first set of protocol. Once the puppy's been cleared and I see the puppy and I say, okay, perfect, this puppy's still happy and healthy, then I will refund money. If I feel like I don't want to work with the client anymore because of the situation and the circumstances, I will refund all of it, and or I'll say the deposit's not refundable, but here's the remainder. I don't feel we're a good fit to work together in the future. So whether you refund the deposit or not, whether you refund the full amount, whether you wait to resell the puppy and then refund the full amount, just be open and clear right away when they contact you and say, hey, I don't think this is going to work out for whatever reason. Be like, okay, here's my policy. Like, write it down, put it in the notes in your phone, sleep on it, pray on it, do whatever you need to do, and be like, this feels comfortable and fair to me and to them. This is how I would want to be treated if I was on the other end. And just make sure you feel good with it as well. So again, options are partial refunds, full refunds, and then past 16 weeks, or if the dog's 2 or 3 or 4, it's getting on the phone and really talking to them. Do we want to try to rehome the dog from their house? Do we want to get the dog back to you? And again, evaluate, assess temperament, see where we're at, see if there's rehabbing that needs to be done, see if there's medical issues, going through all of those clearances. There's no refunded money at this point. It's just doing what's best for the dog and finding their forever home, and hope we do a better job round 2, right? It's just the reality that people are well-intentioned, and no matter how hard we work to get the placement right, unfortunately life throws curveballs at all of us that it's just not always possible to keep the dog in the house. Sometimes the dog was not a good fit. Sometimes we get dogs that bite kids. And unfortunately there's a lot that leads up to that, but by that point it's too late. It's just best the dog doesn't remain in that house if a child is at risk. So it can be a sticky subject, and ultimately, like I said, write it down, think about it, reread it, and just have a really set, clear conversation. Now, in my contract, I say there are no refunds, but again, if it's within a couple days, I've had puppies returned as soon as the next day. People panic, and there's so much going on in people's lives, and it makes me so sad that they're hurting so bad that it was a knee-jerk or whatever decision it was that led them to panic and return the puppy. So much to consider. It's just heartbreaking all around. Let's just be real. Anyway, hope that helps give you some ideas and options. Thanks for riding shotgun with me today. Bye.